What does it mean to you? How has it been for you not being able to prepare or plan, as it were?
Right.
Better
late than never, as I say. 7 months late, that's fine. But we'll have to be mindful of some of the issues down the line. Election is going to be coming very soon. It's end of second quarter. We've lost some time. Now you have to have contractors begin to mobilize. Thankfully, the bulk of the budget is earmarked for capital expenditure, transportation, housing, power, defense. So we should see some traction going forward.
Okay, now I wanted us to take a look at the budget, allocations for this year. And just a few days, I think that was yesterday, the finance minister did say that for the 2017 budget, for the capital vote, about 1.6 trillion was cash banked, was released. And that's actually higher than 1.2 that we saw in 2016. So one can say that, okay, from on the capital vote side, that's positive. But the thing about delayed budgets is that, we're in June right now. It means that right from January, the only component of that budget that's been spent is the recurrent salaries, overheads, and personnel, and all of that. So capital votes have been locked in. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, well, the issue we always talk about is budget performance. You always see lower performance in terms of capital releases compared to recurrent, and that's quite a bit of drag on Nigeria. If we begin to see where more money is spent on capital projects on a timely basis, then you will see some traction moving forward. Infrastructure and power, those are key drivers. But if you don't spend enough money on that, people would just basically be living hand to mouth, earning money, salaries that hopefully they will spend on firing up their generators and trying to improve their lives. Whereas the effort that they should have put into infrastructure that would build economy and boost it is less of an interest than spending on recurrent expenditure.
Well, the fiscal authorities say that, the balance of the capital votes from 2017, about 538 billion, will be rolled over into this year. So that means we have a bit more than, from. So I guess, but then the issue is being able to disburse those funds in a timely manner. But I want us to quickly take a look at what has been allocated to what. Money is allocated to different ministries. So the ministry that's got the highest so far is the Ministry of Power, Works and Housing. They've gotten 33.1% of the total capital released. These are three very, very key ministries: power, housing, and then works, infrastructure. But if we divide this, I don't know what comes to each ministry. And what I've also learned about this budget over the years is that when you look at the actual figure for each ministry, there is the overheads, there's a recurrent, and then there's cap. So what is actually used for capital votes?
Well, in the years past, we've seen where recurrent had been quite huge, 75%, sometimes much, maybe more. But in the current budget, we've seen that coming down. There's been a moderation in capital expenditure in terms of percentages, so that's good news. But again, like we always say, bringing out the money and putting it in the hands of the contractors and deploying it in the field, that's where the problem is. We hope that the processes in capital release could be made much faster, could be enhanced. We know that there has to be emphasis on due process, the right documentation, and so that you don't have pilferages. But we believe that the faster and the better you release these funds, the more you can have boots on the ground and you have people working.
But apart from that, it would appear that for many of the ministries, they're all top-heavy. Back to my point about how much is apart from the money is even being. That's a different ballgame. Having the money to be money is actually released, but the money itself, how much is allocated for actual projects,
actual work,
it's quite small compared to. But when one looks at it, and we will say we have a 9.1 trillion budget. But if you break it down per ministry, what actually comes is not the exact, is not the figure. Like, for instance, we see for transportation, 126.2 billion. Everybody will think that, oh, that's a huge figure. But when you go look at how much is actually going to be expended to transport for actual projects, it's less than half of what's going to go to. So I'm just wondering, so do we need to, because, I've heard the finance minister say over and over that, look, 9.1 trillion now, we're all making so much noise that it's nothing compared to the infrastructure gap that we need. So should we, I don't know if I should go that route. Should we be borrowing more?
Well, it's not a matter of borrowing more. I always emphasize it's a matter of how you utilize whatever you have. Nigeria is already top-heavy, quite frankly. We have a civil service that is quite bloated, and then we have all that expenditure. You have to cater for those people. Unfortunately, we haven't had a very radical civil service reform where you begin to balance who you need in the system, you know, how many people and what it costs you. You know, we try to do the monetization. We try to trim down in previous years. But obviously, we have come back. Now, again, the emphasis is it doesn't matter how much you borrow, how much you earn. It's how you spend it. And our focus is spending on the right infrastructure projects, bringing private sector investments to complement your efforts, and making sure that you deploy funds in a timely manner.
Okay.